wondering who's going to be sitting here. Well, in just a few minutes, you'll find out. It's my arm.
It's my replacement.
It's right. It's the replacement. Joe and Kim Palo with you, and it's fine.
It's all right.
We're good.
I mean, the further back, the better.
Right. Can you go back any further with that?
Right. The further back.
Yeah.
Look at that. Oh, look. Oh, there's my cup.
It's on the other side, Kim.
On there. It's on this side. This is the professional studio.
That's
of
it.
WTMB.
See, now it's all.
Here we go. Now we're all good.
See, that's how it works here in live television. Although, Joe and Kim Palo with you on this middle of the week Wednesday. Good morning to you, Tennessee Valley, this morning, as you can see by the names on the bottom of the screen. We've got a great show for you today. It's a wonderful day because it's kind of crisp and nippy.
In the mornings,
Little
but
bit,
then it's
feeling
still
good.
hot in the afternoon.
It
It's
is
one
hot.
of those
It
things
has been
that
hot.
you don't know what to wear in the morning because I know by this afternoon I'll be coming out of the sweater. It'll be like, it's hot here. I mean, between the hot flashes and the warm weather,
Ooh.
then, you know. And
That is very strange.
Old Moody,
Trust me,
too.
if you-
Old Moody in
Well, I'm glad you said that so I didn't have to. I was going to use another word, but moody is good. Moody works. But yeah, so it is middle of the week Wednesday. A great show for you. Hope you had yourself a great weekend and first of the week.
there. That's right. It was holiday. We had a
was
holiday
holiday.
Monday,
Columbus
Day, and I thought a lot about Mr. Columbus.
Yes, Christopher,
I think,
CC.
right, as I called him, Chris.
Right,
But
CC.
yeah, Christopher.
Italiano.
Right,
you know.
Italiano.
Italian discovers America.
And right. And I heard
Although
a whole big thing
we'll
about
just forget that
wait,
the Indians really kind of, they were.
had it first.
Yeah, but we just forget about that. Nobody there spoke the language to say, hey, I'm discovering this. It was like, So Columbus, even though he said it in Italian, he discovered America. It was like land ho, I think is
Right,
what
and I heard something, I saw something over the weekend that actually the reason that it allowed Christopher Columbus to come from actual Spain, I think it was, is because at that time in 14 earlier than what we know, is because they exiled all of the Jews from Spain. And because of that, somehow in that allowed for, but I didn't realize that happened. Do you
No, I
remember
didn't.
that in history?
I
don't
do not
remember
remember
that in history at all, but I saw something over the weekend. I was watching television, probably public television.
That's a surprise.
Yeah, I know. But
You mean you didn't see
actually-
that on WTMB?
No, I didn't see it on WTMB, and I
No.
certainly didn't see it on Wednesday morning. Well, I don't know. Now that you guys,
That's
although
right.
I don't have any of the details correct.
We're
so
learning you something.
you can't tell it to anyone because my details are not good, but
True.
I did not realize. And actually, it was this thing. Oh, I know what it was. It was actually religious. I was with my mother, so it was religious programming. But it was this moon lineup thing, and that had happened in 1400, and they had exiled the Jews
Right.
out of Spain, and I didn't realize
didn't
that
either.
had been a big thing that
And
happened.
then Chris-
But that directly contributed to Christopher Columbus
Right.
in the ship, and then
Do
finding
you remember
America.
the
But
name
anyway,
of the three ships?
the Nina, the Santa Maria.
That's right.
Oh, thank you. And the Pinta.
You had some help.
Thank you, thank you,
You
thank
didn't
you
even
for our
call a
guest.
friend. You
That's
didn't-
right. I didn't have to
I need
call
to call a friend.
I know. And if I would have had a little, I don't think I'd have come up with Pinta.
Huh?
No, I'm not thinking that was one of them.
You may have come up with Pinto.
No, I don't think so.
The little, the
Because
Pinto.
I was
So
really
it was a
kind of
couple of
iffy
ships
on
and
the
an old Ford that he came in, an old Pinto. That was when he got on land, and he had to say, he couldn't take a ship
right.
on land, so he had to
I mean,
drive around, so he got a Pinto. Nina, okay.
There you go.
And so, and thank goodness he discovered us.
Right.
Or this, because...
I'm not thinking that the Native Americans are real
No,
thrilled with
they-
him.
no,
They
no,
probably
no, no.
have a stone Christopher Columbus Day.
But, and you know
Well,
what's
it
so
wasn't
wild?
really so. I mean, it was his, but it was really the whole.
And it was by
thing
accident,
from,
really.
Yeah, right.
He
just ran
it was
into
by
land.
accident. Right,
Land.
And hope.
Right, I thought it was flat. No.
Yes. And who would have ever have thought that even if
Well,
you...
no, if you look out on the horizon, it looks like, when you're at the
come
ocean.
on, really?
Yes, I was looking at, again, I was in Florida over the weekend.
Very smart men back then, you really thought
But
that
did you
if
really
you believed
know?
in God, you really thought God was going to create where you would just go off the edge?
Well, no, but how could things really stay on? Who knew of the concept of gravity?
Have you ever like ran on top of a ball?
Yes,
You know what I mean?
do
The
that
ball
every
keeps
Tuesday.
spinning, you just keep rolling. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but I'm
you can
just
go
saying,
backwards or a log.
And when you look
I
out
do that quite often. I like to, run on top of a ball or a log. I just do that. Just if I see a log in the water, I'll jump on it and start doing that, and then backwards the whole thing. Sometimes I close my eyes just to kind of make it a little bit more daring. But when you do that, you're just constantly moving, and that's how the world works. This is not that fast, although it is
faster.
faster.
It's a lot faster.
Yeah, it is faster than what we think. When you look at it, it's hard to see.
We're moving away from any
look at the
intelligent
clouds.
thought at this point.
Watch the clouds. Have you ever done that? Have you ever just stared at the clouds and see which direction they're going, and then have you ever done that?
And then said the wind is blowing
No,
to the west, to the east. That's how you can tell which way the wind is
And then the
blowing.
storms, because you see the clouds going this way and the clouds going this way.
And then when they meet,
my goodness.
it's just not good.
So the
mercy.
dark and all right.
Oh,
So, what else can we talk about? So,
let's
anyway, so we've gotten from
talk
Christopher
about
Columbus
football. You're
to
good at that.
the football comes back Sunday because this past Sunday
Right,
we had
we
an
had a
off
bye.
week.
Right.
So it was a day to enjoy the football games without having a vested interest. It was kind of like, the only vested interest we had was to make sure Buffalo lost in New England, but New England in the last seconds really bothered me. They came back and they won. So we just beat them. When we play them, we'll beat them, and that'll be that. But so we went to New England, Buffalo, and the Jets, and of course the Jets and Buffalo both lost. New England won, but we had a bye, so we play this week, and guess who we play coming up Sunday?
New England?
Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo.
So that'll be our first division game too.
Interesting.
So interesting, quite interesting, and then of course last Friday night,
The big
we had
Bradley
the Cleveland game.
I was
which
not here, but I
wonderful.
heard it was just a terrific game.
It was a fabulous
Darling.
ball game.
It was a good ball game.
We aired it a bunch, and we probably will air it some more this week. And then Friday night is Cleveland Walker Valley will be our game of the week. Of course, we'll air that over this next weekend.
Right.
So that'll be a good game too. So locally,
Is it at Cleveland or Walker Valley?
it's at Walker Valley. So it makes for a short jaunt from the field to Football Friday.
Yes.
We can run down to
A
it.
jaunt.
A jaunt.
Just gonna.
I'm just throwing out.
I'm telling you, a jaunt. It's a
These
short
aren't
jaunt.
words I just learned or anything like that. All right, these are words that are up here because I have a very, good vocabulary.
Yes.
Okay.
And when the Dolphins are losing, you can really hear that.
Oh, that vocabulary it changes during that time.
There's no jaunting.
There's no jaunting in there. It's
A lot of
you're
crying.
right. No, there's not a
There's
lot of crying.
There's crying.
There's been some crying in the past, and some sadness. There's also been some happy.
spitting.
There's been some very happy,
spitting.
screaming, ecstatic, unbelievably, tremendously happy times too, where my vocabulary is there's a lot of jaunting and fabulous and wonderful and thank you God, a lot of that kind of stuff in there. But anyway, Sunday it'll be good. And so what else? You just got back from Florida.
I did. I went to see my mom for the weekend. Allegiant is really, I'll give them a plug every time because they've been a real lifesaver for me when my dad was sick and then after he passed away to visit my mom. As being an only child and having a mom that's 81 years old living by herself, I need to check on. But that Allegiant airline is just great. Right now it's flying on Thursdays and Sundays only. But I can go down there real quick on Thursday and you can fly for less than $100, $120 round trip, folks. You can't spit at that. You can't pay the gas to do that. at all, and that you're there in an hour and 45 minutes. And so it's a great airline for going to a destination, which I'm lucky that Mom doesn't live in Idaho.
True.
You know, and nothing wrong with Idaho. I'm just saying that Allegiant doesn't fly there from here. So.
Right, can't get there from here.
Yeah.
But do you see how this story is, Kim flying to Florida?
Right.
Kim flying to Florida. Not like, well, Joe, when you went.
Well, he doesn't even talk to his dad on the phone.
I talk to my dad on the phone. Sometimes I don't like what he's saying, but I still talk to him. But yeah.
And you're not an only child. Your sister is right there with your dad, right there. I mean, they live. You could throw rocks to
What
their
does that mean?
homes.
Does that mean that I don't want to go to Florida for a few days?
No, but it means that neither one of us want to go see your dad.
Huh? Now did I say anything about your mother? Did I say anything about your mother?
I'm sorry.
At all? Did I say that if you couldn't go and it was up to me to go, that I wouldn't go?
No.
Did I say that?
No, it was just there, Joe.
I wouldn't go. But no, I would go.
It was just there.
I know.
Yes, you do go, and when you go, and you could go spend time with your family.
First of all, you know why I really don't go? Because if the truth be known, her mother doesn't want me there. Okay, there's two reasons. Number one,
she sends you back good stuff when I go.
Well, number one, she really doesn't like me. And number two, she really doesn't like me. No, there's three reasons. The third reason is if I
think
go.
that maybe everybody in this room. Tracy doesn't know that she doesn't like
likes me. Ron, when he comes, likes me. James back there likes me.
She doesn't know, but.
The reason is if I go down there, her mother feels like I'm taking time away from them two to be together.
And you won't
go
with your own family.
Because they're just such a fun pair. And so I just, bring it down. I mean, are you kidding me? I'm the voice of reason. You know what I'm saying?
Who wants a voice of reason?
I mean, come on.
So let's do the show.
Right.
Hush.
Enough about that, because I can talk about my mother-in-law for a long time. There's Kim. There's a shot of Kim, and that's quite all right. Just show Kim.
That's all right. He's ready to go. He's like, listen to Kim. She said, let's go on with the show. Let's go to commercial.
How do you know that's what he meant by that?
I don't know. Do it again, James.
How do you
see? That's what he meant.
But okay. Since when are we listening to James?
Well, we would all listen to James because James is the only voice of reason. Tracy. Tracy. Go to commercial, James. Go to commercial.
We're going to do a commercial. We are going to come back with Tracy Shellhouse, and we've got Ron Moore too, and more interesting people.
Town Americana, where trucks are big and bold, and a handshake is firm, and your word is gold. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens is a $2,000 drive. Maybe you're coming from here or here, doesn't matter. Buying a truck from Don Ledford in Athens will save you at least $2,000. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens, a $2,000 drive worth making.
I'll take that drive every time.
At Crawford Pharmacy, we offer custom compounding. Our pharmacists are known for their attention to detail and unique expertise. So visit us at 2260 Chambliss Avenue, Cleveland, Tennessee. For personal assistance, walk right in or come up to our convenient drive-thru. Crawford Pharmacy, serving our community one person at a time.
Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast in Cleveland, is the place to find quality pre-owned cars and trucks. Kyle offers on-the-spot financing on all vehicles on the lot. Each pre-owned vehicle goes through a complete inspection to make sure each car and truck meets the Kyle Motors standard. Warranty and extended warranties available on all vehicles. Kyle Motors will sell you a car or truck that you will be proud to drive for many years to come. See Tony, Bill, Dale, James, or David and let them put you in your next quality pre-owned vehicle. Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast. Phone 790-7100.
Are you having trouble filing for disability?
Seems no one is concerned about your pain, the waiting, the denials.
While some representatives will meet with you in court, we will meet with you now to discuss your plan. We'll review with you the same file that the judges will see. Call us now. Social Security Law Center at Logan Thompson.
You're entitled to better.
This segment of Tennessee Valley This Morning is brought to you by Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland and 2120 Chapman Road, Chattanooga. For your next new or previously owned vehicle, make it Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, the better way to buy. Welcome back to Tennessee Valley This Morning on WTMB. We're having just a jolly time this morning.
A jolly time.
You know what I'm
Tracy
saying?
accused us of going down the rabbit hole. So.
Well, like this. We went around our elbow to get to our thumb, as they say. All right, we are now joined by Tracy Shellhouse from the New Hope Pregnancy Care Center here in Cleveland. Tracy, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
As
again.
always. Let's talk about what you guys have going on now. With the
Well,
fall time.
first,
Well,
what is New Hope? For those of the people
Yes,
who
of
do
course.
know, you know, because sometimes we just jump into things and then
Like
go,
everybody
what is New
knows.
Hope?
Yes. Well, we are a pregnancy help center, and we offer help, hope, and accurate information to those affected by unplanned pregnancies. That being the mother of the baby, the father of the baby, sometimes grandparents, cousins, best friends, roommates, whoever happens to come in wanting to support that person. And we do that through offering free and confidential services. We do things like pregnancy testing, peer counseling, options education, the Earn While You Learn program, which is an incentive program that helps our clients not only obtain education, but they can get material needs from our Hope Chest, everything from cribs to car seats, baby beds, diapers, wipes, you
All
name
those
it, we've got it.
things.
And we now have a new initiative called the Fatherhood Fraternity. And so with that, we're really focusing on getting dads really, really involved, not only in the Earn While You Learn program, but with their children.
That's
So
right.
we're
And that's a
excited about
great
it.
program. And that's a long
Yes.
time coming that you guys have
Yes.
been working towards.
It's taken us about a year and a half from the
Right.
time that I really felt that that was the direction that we were going. But actually, I initially heard about the Fatherhood Initiative back in 2006 in Denver, Colorado. And I heard about it and I thought, oh man, every pregnancy help center needs this.
Absolutely.
And but it's not necessarily the easiest thing to get up and get going. And I really think it's because it is something that is so vital that no one else is doing it. And so when you're initiating a program like this, you're really breaking ground.
Right.
And so it's hard, and there's really not a roadmap for it. And so we're just doing it the old-fashioned way, pulling out our client records, calling dads, calling moms, and saying, hey, we've got this great program, and we will feed you if you will come.
That
to
mostly
get the
works.
dads
I mean,
there.
it works
Yeah.
with me. I mean, you know, it used to work with Joe, but, you know, he's no fun at all anymore when it comes to that. He's hungry. He needs a Snickers all the time. But, I mean, when you feed them, they will come.
Yes,
I have
well,
found that as well.
That, you know, our experience when I was with an organization like New Hope in Birmingham, Alabama, is we would provide a meal for our Earn While You Learn classes in the evenings. But we're really wanting these dads to get involved. But the thing is so many of them work.
Right.
And so instead of having the parent, like our parenting classes are from 5 to 7, we're making this from 5:30 to 7:30. So hopefully they have time to get off work and get to our center. We don't want them to come in and be starving and get home at 7:30,
Sure.
8 o'clock at night. And so we are also trying to feed them. Most of our mothers have more flexibility, but a lot of the dads don't.
Right.
And many of them really want to be involved in their children's lives, but because of work and other responsibilities, it's harder. So we're really trying to work to make this a good fit for them.
Sure.
Right.
Well, good. I am so glad that I mean, I think we talked last time about
Yes.
that initiative, and that has really come to fruition. And I know that you've worked on it and been so thankful that that has come about. And you dads out there, that's such an important role. I mean, and especially when there's an unplanned pregnancy.
Yes.
Because everything we've talked about, bad decisions when you're in a crisis, you know.
Right.
I can tell you right now, I mean, if God forbid, but if you were to get, and I've had a couple of friends that's happened to. In fact, I was just with an aunt of mine, and she was what they call the menopause baby, that you don't
Yes.
think it can, and it happened.
Yes.
And, you know, and I've always thought, oh, I would just, you
That
know,
really
so
would be a crisis
It would
pregnancy.
be I would be like, Tracy, I would come to your house. Boom, 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 boom. So, but yes, but that is so important that the dads out there, and I mean, to have his support would be, you know, non-acceptable.
You're on your own. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'd help out a little bit. But what I do want to ask
Maybe
about
more
that,
than with the
right, right, the first two, right. But in all seriousness, though, I think a lot of people think of this particular place and unplanned pregnancies. I say a lot of people, but I think a lot of the gentlemen, young men or whatever, it's almost like it's her problem.
Right.
That's right.
And she's got to deal with it, and I'll help, if you need my financial support, I'll be there, whatever. But
If you're lucky.
Right. And so
Very
I don't
lucky.
think a lot of times, or society hasn't welcomed them
Right.
into the picture. Like, look, this is your problem too. It's more so,
Yes.
like I said. So I think that's good in that you're bringing them on board. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're a couple. Doesn't necessarily
Right.
mean
And they don't have to be.
No.
right. It's just that you're the father of this child, just like she's the mother.
Right. It gives them a venue to learn how to parent. It also, even if they are not a couple, they learn how to communicate
Right.
and have relationship as parents, co-parenting a child. And that is very, very important. But so many of our young men, what we have found, and this is just, it's a man thing in general, you guys like to fix things.
Right.
You are problem solvers and you're doers. That's I'm telling you. Well, I
he would
hope
just
Joe
say
is.
something,
But,
I would-
I will be talking to my husband, and I am just blowing off steam. And Gene is sitting there, and he has come up with a plan to fix my problem,
Right.
and telling me what I need to do
Oh.
to make things, And I'm like, I was just really sort of talking out loud. And sometimes it's great advice. Sometimes it, maybe his work experience is different than mine or whatever.
Or it's the dumbest thing you've ever heard.
Occasionally, but I do my very best
Not to say that out loud.
That's
to
nice,
listen
honey.
and go, okay. And I know he does the same to me.
Right, absolutely.
We try to be very gracious to each other, even if we don't
You
agree.
have to be, right.
But what we have found is so many men, they need that help and they want to fix things, but they don't know what to do. They want to be good dads, but they don't know how to be good dads. Many of our male clients and the fathers of our babies either didn't have a father involved in their life or they didn't have a good relationship with a father. Many of them raised in single parent homes that the mother was the head of the household. And we recognize that I can't teach a man how to be a man. I can't teach a man how to be a father. Now, I can teach someone how to communicate, and I can talk with them about loving their child, and I can talk with them about different aspects of parenting. But I really think it's very important for older men to come in who have done it, and they're committed to helping young men to step up alongside them and mentor them. And really, that's what our whole ministry is based on. We are a Christian nonprofit, and we really sort of, work on a Titus 2 principle, where it tells the older men and the older women to take up the older women to take up the younger women and teach them how to be good wives and mothers, and for the older men to teach the young men that those that are wise and experienced, and you know what that means? That means we've made our own mistakes.
That means we've come through it, right?
Yeah.
That we've
We
somehow.
have learned the hard
But
way.
we've learned the very
If
hard
you're
way.
wise, it's because you've made lots of mistakes.
Right,
But
absolutely.
you, instead of continuing to make bad mistakes, then you start making better choices.
Right.
And so that's what the principle we operate on. And so we're really excited about this because for so long I have looked at young men coming in. I've been doing this since 2003, and they want to be good dads, but they don't know where to start. And most of them have no one else to talk to other than us. And we had one young man that was involved in our Earn While You Learn program. The mother of his baby did not participate. He came faithfully. He came to every parenting class. He came to Earn While You Learn because he wanted to be a great dad. And I looked, and he loves his child, and I believe he's a good dad. At the same time, I just kept thinking, there's so much more I'd like to be able to offer you that I simply could not at that time. But that is why this program is important. Our first class is tomorrow night on Thursday evening at 5:30, and then we're also going to have sort of a kickoff in November where we're going to have sort of a bonfire kind of day and a supper to bring everybody together to let them fellowship and get excited about it. But it is the Delta Alpha Delta chapter of the Fatherhood Fraternity.
Oh, wow.
And it really is, it's about a fraternity. It's about men coming together and supporting each other. And, our purpose is to encourage men to be the best they can be. Not just as dads.
Right. I'm so excited because you first shared this with us, and it has been a year and a half.
Yes.
And that she has been coming regular, updating, and it is so, it just is exciting to know that tomorrow night that all of your hard work and all of the prayers and all of the, volunteers, that it's come together in this program because it is much needed. And congratulations.
Thank you.
And I've said this before on the show, but it's stuck with me when I heard it was a comedian that said it, but he had an issue with his dad dad, and his statement that he made is that he realized you can't be a man till you see a man.
Yes.
So it's very hard for some of these young men, if they did grow up in the fatherless household, to learn or know how to be a good
That's
dad.
right.
And it's like what I was telling you before we went on with our first son, Corey, being real with him after he was old enough to understand. We're talking, I was still young. I told him, sometimes when you have a child, and it's not so much saying that you didn't plan it, but yeah, okay, we're pregnant. Okay, well, that's great. Oh, well, that's terrific. Okay, well, but at that particular point, a lot of young men and women too, you're not finished being a son or a daughter yet,
Right.
and now you have to be a mother or a dad.
Yes.
And that's a little different step. So
Yes.
you kind of learn as you go. I know there's no book like we talk about.
You get better at it.
Yes, the more you have.
Yeah, I've got 4 children, and I can see with each one of them how Gina and I got better and better and better. And we love all of our children. And our oldest is a senior this year in high school, and she is beautiful and she's intelligent, and I'm very, very proud of her. But I look back at all the mistakes that Gina and I made. And my husband was talking with me one day, and in no way to diminish his love for Caitlin, but he said, really that first one should be disposable because you make so many mistakes.
Right.
You wish that you could go back and fix so many things. But that's the other thing that's amazing about the bond between children and parents. Children want to love their parents. And we see often where we have children, and I have clients who are wanting to love their parents, who hurt them while they were growing up. They're still hurting them. Their parents are making bad decisions. Often part of the reason they're in our center is because they didn't have a good home life.
Right.
But they want to have a relationship with their parents. And that is, I think, how God has just created us. And it helps us get over each other's mess ups. But we can look and see that, Caitlin is great, and she's very strong, she's a good leader, and then you see Chip, and he's very secure, and then you get to Faith and Emma Grace. And Faith and Emma Grace have no fear because they are so secure in who they are, and they will talk to anybody for any length of time that you will allow them.
Right.
And yet I look and I go, they are so comfortable in their own skin. And I think that's because by the time Emma Grace got there, we'd been parenting for 12, 13 years.
Right.
And we were more secure as parents.
Sure.
And I won't say you ever arrive as a parent. I have people all the time that look at what I do for a living, and just because of sometimes the heartache and the difficult situations I deal with, they're like, oh, that must be such a hard job. And I'm like, it is nothing compared to parenting.
Yes,
That's the hardest job I have ever had in my life.
And another thing, I had mentioned to Kim not too long ago, we were talking about it, but when you're young, and I had this problem, okay, maybe not so much with a female, I don't know, maybe it's just as hard, but as a young man in my 20s, I could not, even when we had our son, okay, I didn't know how to talk to a kid.
Right.
I didn't know, it was always, I don't know what to say to him, because
Yes.
and it wasn't until I had Corey, and then as he got a little older, that I started coaching him in sports, and I was around a bunch of little kids that at the beginning I didn't know how to talk to, but then after a while, you start learning, and you know how to talk to a little kid. You know the difference between somebody 7 talking to him and somebody 17 or 70. And when you don't have that, it's almost like, I don't even know what to say, but hi, and
Yes.
so, and I think that comes in as being a young parent. You don't really know how to talk to your own son or daughter because they're a little kid, and you're like, I've got one. It's like the old comedian thing, George Carlin, you say, well, I had a kid. Well, what are you going to do with them? Well, I'm going to raise them. Just don't plant them too deep. So you're going to raise it, but you just don't really.
Yes.
There's not a book.
Yes.
So the more experience, the more. So that's why I think, since there isn't a book, maybe talking to people who have had the
Yes.
experience and gone through it for years, it's almost like the wise. Let's listen to what this wise owl has to say about this.
And and to even be able to say, I'm frustrated. We can't get the baby to sleep, or we have an older child and they are throwing temper tantrums. To be able to say, I'm frustrated, and this father thing is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, and I love my child, but I don't necessarily feel connected. I don't feel like we're communicating.
Right.
For someone to be able to look at you and say, I've been there. I think to love our children is natural. I don't necessarily think for everyone parenting is a natural thing. And that goes back often to the environment you were raised in. And you will often see that people that come from secure, intact homes sort of step into the parenting thing a little more smoothly, especially if they had siblings and things like that. They saw communication and relationship lived out. For many of us who maybe came from broken homes, it's not so easy. And that's part of what we're trying to overcome.
I mean, I told my mom and I were talking about that this weekend, that you've never fought before until you get into a marriage relationship or a relationship with another adult. Right. And I was good at it, and there were a lot of things to, but no, I mean, you don't fight with your parents, especially in my type of household. We were very, very Christian based. You just didn't talk back. You didn't. It was very disciplined and all of that. So until I was really in a relationship, an adult relationship, I'd never fought with anybody to where Joe and his brothers and sisters, Lord of mercy, I mean, they fought like the Dickens and then cried and hugged and kissed, and I was still mad 3 weeks later. So there is a lot of social aspects of family life and of parenting that you just kind of have to wade through, and those people that have been through it and have come through it, whether it's a broken or just different, not the typical, family.
And which that shows you that if you do have an only child, in some ways, and starting to learn
somebody to fight
with. No, you need to let them maybe express themselves so they don't feel all bottled up like I can't say anything back to mom and dad, not in a disrespectful way, but maybe enough to say, listen, now I feel like that was wrong, mom or dad, because, and not the parent go, hey, don't you talk back to me. Yeah. And that may be because, I did get to argue with my brother and sister, and we did. Now it was, we had to stop, but that happened. And so you kind of learn, this is right, that's not right, or whatever.
Right.
And you also learn how to forgive and then continue to live with each other in relationship. And that's really important, and that's part of what we focus on is relationship and how to communicate. Often that's I hear women, we have a tendency to get really hurt and then tote that. My husband and I can get an argument, and 30 minutes later he's fine. And I remember one night, probably in our first year of marriage, he had made me so mad that day. We were both mad at each other, and we had a good rip-roaring fight. And we're getting ready to go to bed, and we're turning the bed down, and he's standing on the other side of the bed, and he's trying to joke with me. And I did not appreciate that or find it the least bit funny. And I remember looking across him over the bed and looking at him and saying, I am mad at you, and I don't want to like you right now, so you can just stop. And he busted out laughing, because for him, we had fought, and he had gotten over it. And he was no longer mad or upset, and he was fine. And when he started laughing, of course, I started laughing, and we still tell that story all the time as we are learning to communicate in a marriage. But I did have a brother and sister, but I didn't live with them, and I was raised as an only child. My husband had a brother and sister whom he lived with, and so he did learn how to do that. And for me, I just wasn't used to getting bullied by anybody, and that's sort of how I felt at the time.
But you learned afterwards. Talk to Tracy.
No, because you're still wrong and I'm still mad.
But no, that is very, very true. And what has happened now? See, he handled it great. Now, see, when that happens to me, I'm like, oh, okay, so you're still mad. I can tell you're still. Okay, just let me know when you're over it, which doesn't go well.
Oh, he's done that too.
And that, of course, you never get told I'm over it. And how you realize is when you say, like, you want to get something to eat? I don't care, whatever you want. Then you go, okay, I guess it's over with now. So then you know.
Don't bother me until. What else do you want to tell us, Tracy?
Real quick,
we're about out of time, and because you can't fix us, nobody can.
Well, we have our Walk for Life coming up on October 26th. It is a huge fundraiser. It is one of our 2 big fundraisers of the year, and it raises about 25% of our operating income. We're hoping to raise somewhere between $60,000 and $80,000.
Okay.
So we need lots of sponsored walkers. We need people who are willing to walk and ask other people to support them and to donate for them walking. We also need people that are willing to walk and sponsor themselves. We have a lot of people that show up. It's the largest pro-life event in the Coy region. We usually have somewhere between about 700 to 1,100 people. But on a typical year, we have somewhere between 150 and 200 that are sponsored. If those that show up, even if you sponsor yourself at $5, $10, $25, it can make a huge difference in our income. And also, part of what is so great about the Walk for Life is as you go out and ask other people to sponsor you, it helps them to become aware of what New Hope is, the resource that we are in our community, and how we can help. And that is, to us, one of the greatest benefits is that people find out that we are a resource for people that often feel like they have no resources, they feel like they have nowhere to go, they feel like they have no help. There is so much help, not just through New Hope, but through other nonprofits and agencies in Bradley County. But it's so important that they get to an agency that is willing to network and work with other agencies so that we can get all their needs met.
And they do that. And guys out there, they are always, of course, money. Money does it all. Anything that you can donate, money can buy it. So anybody
yes.
out there, and what's the website? Because I know that you can donate there.
It's newhopepcc.org, New Hope PCC for Pregnancy Care Center.org. But if you just Google New Hope, you'll find us.
And you go to our local, office here, and you guys can, I think there's a PayPal account there. And
yes, they can. You can donate online. You can set up a monthly donation. You can choose to do it through a checking account, bank account. We also take Visa, MasterCard, you name it. And if you want to walk, and you can drop by our office and pick up a brochure, but you can also go to that website and you can print off a brochure. And we're doing something really cool this year. We have a website called Fund Easy, and you can go make your own walk page. And send it to people, and people can go online and they can donate, and then you can watch as you're getting close to your goal. And if you're on a team with a particular church, the churches are competing against each other. And I'm at First United Methodist, and when I look last, we're in second place. And and so it's a really great tool, but it also makes it a lot easier because a lot of people don't carry checks anymore, and a lot of us don't carry cash. All we have is that debit card. Well, we're not going to take that information and write it down for all to see on that brochure, but they can go online and give that way, and it's very easy.
Very easy. And so, guys, they want and they need your money, and they will so appreciate it. And guys, there's nothing better that you can do is to start a new life out healthy and happy and well-adjusted, and they help them do just that. So thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
We will see you next month. When's the walk again exactly?
October 26th. The registration is at 8:30 in the morning, and the walk program begins at 9.
All right,
Terrific.
thanks.
Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much. All right, folks. We're going to take a commercial break and be back with Ron Moore.
We're going to have him the rest of the morning, guys.
yeah.
He's going to tell us some big old tales.
So we'll see you back here in just a few.
Town Americana, where trucks are big and bold, and a handshake is firm, and your word is gold. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens is a $2,000 drive. Maybe you're coming from here or here, doesn't matter. Buying a truck from Don Ledford in Athens will save you at least $2,000. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens, a $2,000 drive worth making.
I'll take that drive every time.
At Crawford Pharmacy, we offer custom compounding. Our pharmacists are known for their attention to detail and unique expertise. So visit us at 2260 Chambliss Avenue, Cleveland, Tennessee. For personal assistance, walk right in or come up to our convenient drive-thru. Crawford Pharmacy, serving our community one person at a time.
Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast in Cleveland, is the place to find quality pre-owned cars and trucks. Kyle offers on-the-spot financing on all vehicles on the lot. Each pre-owned vehicle goes through a complete inspection to make sure each car and truck meets the Kyle Motors standard. Warranty and extended warranties available on all vehicles. Kyle Motors will sell you a car or truck that you will be proud to drive for many years to come. See Tony, Bill, Dale, James, or David and let them put you in your next quality pre-owned vehicle. Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast. Phone 790-7100.
Are you having trouble filing for disability?
Seems no one is concerned about your pain, the waiting, the denials.
While some representatives will meet with you in court, we will meet with you now to discuss your plan. We'll review with you the same file that the judges will see. Call us now. Social Security Law Center at Logan Thompson.
You're entitled to better.
This segment of Tennessee Valley This Morning is brought to you by Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland and 2120 Chapman Road, Chattanooga. For your next new or previously owned vehicle, make it Crown, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. The better way to buy.
Well, it's just us, Ron. I mean, I'm thinking, oh, here he comes. Oh, Mr. Priss is coming back now. The cameras come back on, and he's got to get, right in the middle of it, I guess. But Joe's not as young as he used to be. He can't face the early morning crowds alone. So I thought, he was going to get you. James was going to put you on walking in, but I guess.
That's fine. I don't care if
There
he
he
did.
is.
Live television.
Done
Yeah,
a
it
whole
works.
lot better, right?
Yeah.
No,
Two
it
of
works.
us. We were
Now the
hoping.
show really gets interesting.
Yeah.
But I do want to say hello to my friend Ron Moore, who has joined us and say Kim couldn't even do that without me. So I want to say hello to my compadre. And those of you that are going to view, which you'll see, like I said, throughout this week, the Cleveland-Bradley game that we did Friday night. Ron was my color analyst and did a great job. Cohort, partner in crime.
I don't think I yelled anything. Oh my, no.
That was a good game.
But there was some big, oh my gosh, moments
There
in
was.
that whole
There was.
ball game. And
What a game.
Cleveland just had the best third quarter they've ever had since they built the school in 1966. They just played an unbelievable third quarter.
They were awesome.
It was really good.
Was a great game. So, yeah, but you'll get to see it. I'm sure you've seen it. If you haven't, you will get to. All right, so we now have Ron for the rest of the show.
That's
and he
right.
always has something interesting to talk to us about.
And I'd much rather talk to you, Ron, any day of the week.
I would much rather talk to Ron
There we
than talk to
go.
myself like I have to do so often.
And the voices in your head.
Right.
Well, we're going to talk about Halloween. It's
Halloween.
coming up
It is
soon, and I
coming.
thought I'd wait a couple weeks. Let's go ahead and talk about it now, because a lot of people don't realize why we even have Halloween. It's just something that most of us get candy for,
That's right.
which is what it's really turned into be. It's just
Right.
candy. But first mention of Halloween is like in the 1745.
Okay.
And basically, it's based on the All Hallows Eve,
Right.
because November 1st is All Hallows Day, which is the celebration of saints.
All Saints Day.
That's right, it's All Saints Days. And there's several reasons that people think they do that. One, it's the end of the year, and the apple harvest is coming
Festivals,
in, and
right.
they have festivals. And some people said the Druids and the devils got together to throw a party on the day before the All Saints Day.
Oh, yeah. See,
So-
for the non-saints.
Right. So,
Senior.
but also All Hallows Day or All Hallows Day Eve, and a lot of time in Scottish and Celtic, even.
Even,
So that's how you get the Halloween out of that. So through
I
there.
see, I didn't know that.
But it's through all Christianity, it was always known as All Saints Day. And the Druids didn't like All Saints.
Yeah, of course.
Needless to say, and the devils, and so that's why I do it. But many countries they celebrate Halloween. I mean, All Hallows Eve, just as a festival. Say they're okay. And surprisingly, it's a Celtic festival, and they would do things like bob for apples. Apple harvest is big about this time of year, and they would guise or guising, and guising means trick or treat.
Oh,
So they would guise, and they would wear festival costumes.
Okay.
And they would bob for apples, like I say, and they'd build bonfires, and they'd tell ghost stories. Because,
well, Celtics were good at that. They had
Yeah.
lots of tales.
because
They
now
were pretty
All
good at
Hallows,
some basketball, too, every
because
once in a while.
All Hallowed Eves, also not only the saints, which are hallows, the martyrs, and all the faithful departed. In the Catholic world, Joe, you can help me out here, but it's the faithful departed, the ones that's gone on.
And see, in All Saints Day, the day after Halloween, when I went to parochial school, Catholic school, that's what we used to love about Halloween, because we, the next day, had the day off, because it was All Saints Day. We always had that day off. So Halloween to us was just like a holiday, because the next day you were out of school and it was all gravy.
He was a
because-
really good Catholic.
Oh, I was a great Catholic. I was an altar boy. That's a good one. I was a good altar boy.
I'm not going to ask.
Do not.
The answer's
Did not
no.
happen. The answer is no.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. But basically they were honoring dead.
Right.
So in the 18th and 19th century, there's no indication that we were celebrating in this country Halloween. Matter of fact, the Puritans that landed in New England and that area were against
Celebrating
anything like that, but particularly because they thought it was celebrating the dead. And they thought that was very,
and
very
then
wrong.
Too, they had broken away from the Catholic
Right.
Church, and so anything that they kind of even celebrated, even as the All Saints, they didn't really.
See what happens when you break away?
Well, I
So-
mean, that's part of what was going on.
And later in the 19th century, which is the 1800s, you know,
Right.
there's something happened that really started that being practices here, because all of a sudden the Scottish and the Irish showed
We're
up.
here, right?
Right. Remember, at first it was just English that showed up. And, you know, the Scottish and the Irish
And
and
the
the English
partiers came.
did not always agree with each other, the Scots and Irish and anything. But they celebrated these All Halloweens because there tend to be a lot of Catholics in there. You know, of course, a lot of the Irish wars are over the Catholics and Protestants there. But they were coming here. So they started practicing All Halloween Eves. And by the 20th century, early 1900s, all social and racial and religious backgrounds started celebrating Halloween here, but it lost all of its religion. It had no All Hallows in there.
Right.
I'm sure in the Catholic Church still today there is still the All Saints Day,
Yeah.
There is.
but you know, now the Protestants and us Gentiles. I'm a gentle guy, I guess.
He's a Gentile Protestant.
Yeah.
A genteel gentleman.
But now practice Halloween basically because it's just a big party.
Yeah.
It has no real meaning whatsoever in any society except you're going to get candy,
Right.
and that's a good thing.
Well, where did that come from? Given candy?
It just got to where the festivals became more of a party, and the religiousness, when, you know, as people broke away from religion more and more,
Right.
where, you know, in 1800s, you know, and when they first got here, everything was pretty much religious.
Right,
Now, the
and-
reason we came to America was because of the religious
And all
control
celebrations
by the king.
all celebrations really had candy involved, whether
I thought
it was
nuts and
fruits
fruits and
right.
all.
Either
Yeah, well-
if it was was the candy of the day. But even Christmas, I mean, back when things were poor and it wasn't like it is now, just sweet treats. I mean, sugar, it was an exception. So it just
Well, that's
kinda
where that
starts
phrase
like
came
that.
from. If and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Yes,
Right.
I use that every week. And the jack-o'-lantern was used by the Scots because it was supposed to ward off evil spirits, and they carried it as a light and ward off evil
yeah.
spirits. The Irish carved turnips.
Well, there you go. They use the potatoes
Well, now,
for
probably
ate
one
the
of those
potatoes.
bigger
Yeah, I was gonna
turnips,
say,
you
it'd be
know.
like-
They get pretty big.
Not those little bitty
Hold
ones.
it like
you know.
this.
And of course, candied apple was a major treat too.
Yeah.
And because it was the apple harvest,
Right.
and those sweet apples, and then that come all the way through America, and until about 1960, 65 area there, candied apples were still handed out every
Oh, I know.
Halloween.
Yeah,
You could
I
go and
remember
people would
getting
hand
them,
those
yeah.
out, but it stopped. No one hands out candied apples anymore. You know why?
Because of the razor blades.
Razor blades.
Yeah.
Exactly right. There was 2 or 3 incidents in America where someone had placed a razor blade inside an apple.
Isn't that horrible?
And so it changed what we know as Halloween, and now
It better be sealed, wrapped, wrapped
and
again.
now we have led even further away is that we don't go trick or treating as much unless you go to Centenary Avenue or you come to the block party.
Or
now.
homes that you know.
Or
are safe.
you go to your relatives, your
Right.
hometown.
Right.
And some people don't take part in the traditions anymore at all because it got to the point where, you know, if you lived in a small community and you give out 30 or 40 pieces of candy for one thing, now you live in a subdivision and you're giving out 1,000, 2,000 pieces
Right.
of candy. Some people's budgets just couldn't afford it. So the cost of all of it, the fear of people tampering with anything has got to it. And plus then we have done a really good job in our community making it a little bit safer by doing the Halloween block party, and we also do Centenary Avenue. Those people on that street had traditionally done that. thousands of people down through there. They really put on a big show there.
Big show. And the churches have now
Well, and
come
it doesn't
into
hurt that
Churches
we've
and
got
the malls and
Right,
several.
it's
It doesn't
Trunk and
hurt that we've got the
treat, I think.
king of candy making right here, and they supply.
A
right.
huge sponsor of
Thousands.
the block
Block
party,
party.
and people. I mean, they line up for blocks and blocks for
know.
hours and
For
hours
hours to get
go
some
through that.
M&Ms.
Yeah. So, but free candy's free candy.
Free kid,
That's
free
exactly
anything
right.
these days
But,
is wonderful.
And talking about the block party and how we changed Halloween around here, we've seen the incidents of vandalism and the petty stuff, and we don't turn over outhouses as much because there's just not many
Just
left.
not many.
Right.
And it's dangerous to do at night because if you make one wrong step,
That's right.
yeah.
The
And
trick's on you.
your friends do not help you once you fall into the hole.
Oh yeah,
You're on your own. You're trapped and you're on your own. Okay. But talk about the block party. Many years ago, and I can't remember how long ago, but the Cleveland Police Department had a little. You'd go by their training center over there on 2nd Street, and they had candy they handed out, and they kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then Arnold Botts was chief of police, and he said that he says, why don't we just make it a street dance type thing? We'll hire a band right out here, and he went and found some sponsors, and so we'll just do a little bit bigger. Well, that was the birth of what
Really?
we know as the block party. That night it rained.
Oops.
So they went to the old Village Shopping Center, which was pretty vacant at that time, and they had hired Charlie Brown and the Coasters to come in to do that. I furnished them the sound system. We brought the sound system down, and they had 300 or 400 people in there enjoying the band. And then the next year they decided to do a little bigger, and then it got bigger. Then it's huge, and now there's stages and there's
20,000
contests and there are booths and there, in the treat street as they call it, and so
TV stations
Right,
broadcasting it
broadcasting live
Yeah.
for 3 hours.
So, but just so Halloween to us is still just a big party, and for Cleveland, we take it as an opportunity to show off downtown Cleveland. We've had big name bands and smaller name bands, and I've always said it didn't matter what size the band is, if you can walk down the middle of the street in makeup,
Right.
it's a success. So if you can be someone else, something else, and you can walk right down the middle of the streets of Cleveland, and there's fun going on, and everyone else is there. It's just a very successful thing. I think in the 25, 30 years that they've done it here, maybe one arrest in the whole time inside the there, and
The
that was just a
actual
little
party.
small incident. Yeah, there've never been any major incidents. And the sheriff's department, police department, the Tennessee Defense Force, they volunteer. Great coverage, medical facilities, everything there. So it's just been a great time.
Yeah, and of course, we know Dr. Robinson, a good friend of ours here at the station as well, does Health Matters. He's a big part, if not in the head of the medical force, and they do walk the block party in case anything. And that is something to be said, because I don't know of any other city or anywhere where you can get between 10 to 20,000 people in an area that size and virtually have absolutely no problems whatsoever. I think that's a
And
that's
people,
a testament to our
really, because
community.
people can, first of all, they're incognito. You don't know, people tend to
Right.
act like out when you don't know who they are. But I love it because my very favorite part of the whole block party are the pets. I mean, people come with their poor dogs, that have lost their dignity, all dressed up into different things. But there is such a variety, and there's a lady there every year that brings her duck, and it
Right.
just tickles me to death. She has a pet duck. She keeps it. It gets to swim in the bathtub, but she brings it every year, and Joe talks to the duck. But we're there, right there on the
And you know what?
corner.
Every time I talk to it, what it says?
It
Aflac.
Yeah, it quacks
That's all it
up.
says is
Quacks
Aflac.
up.
I'm like,
Yeah,
come
quacks
on, say something else. Anyway,
Joe makes it quack up. That's all.
Quacks up.
that's good too.
Yeah. But and they've been just super acts there. They've had Charlie Brown and the Coasters have been there, of course. The Platters have been there. Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show.
Chuck Negron of Three Dog Night.
Yes, Three Dog Night. Just great acts and local acts, and they've had Phil Dirt and the Dozers,
Well, there you go.
which I thought was a great.
That is
is
a great name.
name.
That's a great
And
name.
I know
Little
that-
Richard.
Little Richard,
Little
yeah,
Richard
kind
was
of a few
there.
years ago. So just been great acts over the years there, and I don't know who else coming this year, but it's another great time
Oh,
for
it's
it.
gonna
And like I say, it's just a fun time, and they've had crowds of 25,000, 18 to 25,000 on a regular basis now, and so always great food. Always.
Oh, I know.
yeah.
I can't wait because I love the fried Oreos and the fried Snickers, and that truck
The real
comes.
healthy
That-
stuff.
Yeah, the real healthy stuff. But we are right across where we set up, everybody, and come by and see us. We'd love to talk to you. But we're right there on the corner across from Stampers, right there with the courthouse, across from Stampers, and kind of catty corner right there from the post office. And at the post office stage back there is the karaoke stage. And
That was our original stage there.
was that the original one?
I know Bob Compton, who worked with me at Telecable, he
I
helped.
remember Bob.
Well, the first year we tried to do it, there was just not enough power out there. So Bob helped install a big 800 amp fuse box, breaker box that come in there to run all the lights and the powers off that. We did all that for them. So Telecable was very involved in it back in those days. And now, how long have you been doing the block party?
Oh gosh, since like 2002, 1 or 2,
Wow.
around there, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've started with you in 2009. We started that I was even, most of the time I was at home watching him on TV. But since 2009, but that karaoke stage over there, that party's unbelievable, and they have to shut them down at the whole end of it. But there's some people that shouldn't get up there.
Well, we do need. If
That's
we're
the
gonna-
best part of karaoke.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I mean, right.
And if we're going to mention that, we do need to mention just the amount of support, Main Street Cleveland, Sharon Marr, and all the
Oh, wow.
volunteers in putting that together every year. And as you said, as big as it is now, it's a big undertaking. And all the vendors that come out there, and the electric company that puts up temporary electric poles for what you're saying right there.
There's a lot of it, yes.
Just so much goes into putting that thing on that people really, as they come to enjoy it, don't have any idea the
I think now that they've actually brought in a lot of power, permanent power along the through there, because it was going on so often, and they've made that regular. And of course, downtown now has also done the car shows and things like that.
Apple
Right.
Festival.
And I wanted to mention real quick, basically all I had about Halloween there. I just thought it was interesting stories about coming up. But the TV station, how old is it now?
1998.
I was here when it started, but I can't remember.
So 98 is when it came on
Yeah.
the air.
I remember well that Doug Jensen, who was out of the Dalton area, run what they called community television.
Yep.
Right.
And it was a low-powered community television, and they were not required to be on the cable system. They were not what they call a must-carry. Things like Channel 3, 9 and 12, 61, the two public broadcasting stations,
Right.
one out of Georgia and one out here. Both those were all required to be on the cable. But the TV station like here was not required to be on here. They could have put it on the air and it not be on here.
Right.
And so Doug come up and talked with me, and we talked about what a local TV station could do for the community. And I thought it was a time for us to do something. And I know I went and fought to get them on here, and people like Tom Rowland, who was the mayor at that time, and the county mayor and all that, they wrote letters. We met with officials. The big thing we had to sell was then Intermedia Corporation to get them on the air here. And what I said was that we had all the channels in the world we needed for the ESPNs and the CNNs with that said, but we didn't have anything that said Cleveland, Tennessee on
Right.
it. And it was something that basically wouldn't be on the satellites. We were competing against satellite users. So this was one thing. So this TV station was very important not only to the community, I think, and it still is, but it's also very, very important to the cable system, because this is where you can get your local things like the Football Friday, which is very, very popular. I mean, I know I run into people all the time who see us on there. And I think recording the TV shows, and the morning shows here, and the what do you call it, the coupon show?
Shopper.
Yes.
The
Oh, wait, yeah, the
East
shopper,
Shopper,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
East Tennessee Shopper, yes. Thank you. My mind was blank there. Those do tremendous things on there, and that so it little things like this in the community makes Cleveland a better place, and
Yes.
this station has done a great job. And you two are just doing a wonderful job here, and I want to say thank you for what you do for our
Well, thank
community
you,
too.
and really, we need to thank Ron. We got to go, everybody. We're out of time, but thank you, Ron.
Thank you for
are the
all
one
you do,
that
buddy.
believed in
From
us
the
at
beginning, he's
and
been a
he
big
stayed-
part
and
of
he
the
ha-
station.
He stays with us in spite of it all.
Yes. We're going to say goodbye to Ron, goodbye to Tracy Shellhouse. Thank you for being on the show this morning. Thank you for watching us. We'll see you next time on Tennessee Valley This Morning. Have yourself a great rest of the week.